Earnings week continues, and today we're going to take a look at Boeing and why the 100 simple moving average on the monthly is the bane in this stock's existence, and how, if it's going to fill some significant historical gaps, it's got to take out that dragon. Oh, yeah, you like my glasses? They're back from the Roku days, but let's jump into it. Boeing earnings preview. Let's go.
Tick by tick.
Let's jump into the Boeing chart. And the first thing that I want to do here is let's just look at the all-time high on Boeing. This thing was at a price level of $446.36. It hit that all-time high back in January of 2019 and has not been able to reclaim those levels. And we are getting ready for an earnings report tomorrow morning. That is going to be Wednesday, April 22nd, which just so happens to be the deadline for a deal between the United States and Iran. The ceasefire ends. What is going to happen? Boeing will report before the market opens for regular hours at 9:30. And let's just take a look at where the price action is. And then we're going to look historically at some gaps, what it's done over previous earnings reports, and the one key moving average that this thing is going to have to defeat if it's going to move any higher. But we can see right now, we are currently above all of the significant major simple moving averages here on the daily chart. Boeing is trading at $221.55 at the time that I'm recording this. And you can see we are above the 100 simple moving average. We are above the 50 simple moving average, which is my orange line. And then we are above the 200 simple moving average, which is the red line, and also above the 10-day exponential moving average. So this thing is in a bullish trend. It has reclaimed all of its moving averages. And right now we can see that it is being held back by the point of control, which is the price area here on the visible range volume profile. This is where the majority of the activity takes place on this ticker. And that is at $223.25. And you can see when it has tried to climb above this area, it has been rejected. It reached a recent high here of 230.20. That was on Friday of last week, but it wasn't able to hold on to any momentum. So it is consolidating a bit here after a bit of a downturn off of the weakness from the start of the war with Iran. And we'll talk about what potentially this can do off of earnings. Now, pay close attention here. If I zoom in, we could see that the 50-day simple moving average has poked through the 200, which indicates a death cross, which can be a signal of a move lower. So just keep your eyes on that. Let's see if that plays out, if this thing is going to move to the downside. But we can see currently where we are on this ticker. We are not overbought. There's not a ton of volume that has come in on this stock. And let's just take a look at potentially where this thing can go. Now, the one thing that I do want to point out that has been significant for Boeing is if we hop over here to the monthly chart, it is this monthly 100. It is this 100 SMA on the monthly. You could see it right here that over the last few times it has tried to press above here. Let me move my zoom bar out of the way. But July of last year, August, September, 1, 2, 3 rejections off of that 100 monthly simple moving average. It tried again in January. It got above there, but got rejected. It tried again in February, got rejected. So this is the line in the sand. If the bulls are really going to push Boeing, they have to break that 100 simple moving average on the monthly. If it can be defeated, there is a chance for this thing to run. And you can see the last time that there was a strong close above it was here. This was December of 2023. It could not sustain that move and it sold right back down. So let's see, can it get back above here off of this earnings? Is it going to take more time? We don't know, but keep that in mind. I'm actually going to mark this out here so we can look at this whenever we do our analysis. So this is the 100 SMA on the monthly. And let's come back over here to the daily and see what we have above us. So we could see right now, if we're looking at the current price action, that 100 SMA on the monthly is going to serve as a resistance. Notice that it's right above that point of control. So there's quite a lot for Boeing to contend with here. If it is to press higher, you can see there is quite a lot of resistance here on the visible range volume profile if this thing is going to start pushing. And you can also see too that since it made these recent highs up around 254 back in January, what has it been doing? It's been setting lower highs, and it's printing a lower high right now at the time I am recording this video. And we could see that we have lost a little bit of momentum. And yes, this is a double top pattern. We did break below that neckline. This thing dropped, and uniquely enough, it did fill this gap that was left over from this past December. Now, after that gap was filled is when buyers stepped in and pushed the price up to where we are now. And the question is this report going to be strong enough? Are they going to turn in a beat? Are they going to have strong forward guidance and enough power to press above these volume nodes on the VRVP? But most importantly, through this 100 simple moving average on the monthly. And that's really the big question. That's what it's going to come down to. This stock has not been able to push through that without any type of sustenance and has not been able to maintain that move. And so, honestly, this is what we're going to be watching come tomorrow morning. Does it shoot higher off of the report? And what does it do whenever it touches that price area? So that's what I'm watching. I will watch whenever the results are announced, and I want to see how the price interacts with that 234.29 area. And if it does shoot up into there, does it immediately get rejected and roll back over and confirm this death cross that we have here and we get more weakness in Boeing? Or are the results strong enough that we close above it and we start to squeeze higher? Now, if we do get that close above that 100 SMA on the monthly, we want to watch the recent high here of 254.65 as a potential spot for this thing to move. And that's going to be not right away, but that would be a gap up. And let's say that we would consolidate there along that 100. And then it would be a steady climb up from there to 254. So that's what we would want to watch. But also keep in mind, there are several unfilled gaps still left on Boeing. They go back to 2020 and 2019. You can see this first gap here at 304.01. You have another one at 330.30. And you got this big boy here at 415.59 that is just off of that all-time high of 446.36. Now, let's be realistic. It is not going to gap this hard up to 304. It is not going to gap to 330 off of the earnings report. And again, if this thing pushes higher, the line in the sand will be 234.29, and that will tell you everything you need to know about what is going to happen with this move. So again, watch that price area, see if it shoots up, sticks there, and it holds like a magnet, and then just see if it consolidates and then starts to grind higher. So that's the key area that we want to watch to the upside, because Boeing has not been able to break it. I will also point out here to the downside, we do have an unfilled gap off of this gap up from April 7th, and that is at 211.90. So if this thing wants to fall down, that's not too far away. Let's see if it would come down and fill this gap, grab liquidity, and then proceed higher. So both of those are on the table. If this thing wants to push either to the upside or to the downside, you have those two key areas of significance that we want to pay attention to. So the bull case, this isn't going to be a very big move here on Boeing, but watch 234.29. That 100 simple moving average is very strong. And then we're going to watch this gap below us to the downside around 211.90. And let's just take a look at what has happened here the last few times that Boeing has reported earnings. And let me delete all these lines off of here. And remember, Boeing is a company that does report before the market opens. And so you could see here that the day prior, it did close down, but this thing was pressing higher at this point. It was up in the 250s, and it did push higher, but you could see that it sold down and ended up finishing that day below the 10-day exponential moving average. So we're going to give this W to the bears. So this is a bears W here. And then you could see from that point, it just continued to roll downward. So the bears get a victory on their previous earnings report that occurred on January 27th. If we come back over here to October, you could see that they missed on their earnings per share and they hit on their revenue. And we could see here, this was the day prior. And what happened? We had a gap down, which triggered an even larger move to the downside before Boeing started to climb up after it bottomed around here at, let's see what this price was, 176.74. So you had another win by the bears. So they are 2 for 2 here on these most recent earnings reports. And then we come back here to July 29th of last summer. And you could see here that, again, Boeing has a tendency of this. So this was the day prior, July 28th. What happened when they reported? They pushed up, but that move faded lower. Down it went. What a big bearish engulfing candle. And then this just stripped lower down to the 50 before trying to reclaim those recent highs, which it didn't. And then it fell down further. So the bears, another victory. So 3 weak moves, 3 wins by the bears off of their last 3 earnings reports. Now, let's come back to April of 2025. Coming out of the tariff weakness, this will be the last earnings report that we look at here. But we could see this was the day of earnings. This was the day before. So this did have a nice gap up. Now, uniquely enough about this move, we were below all of the moving averages here. We were below the 200, the 50, the 100. And again, I've talked about this before, that strong news, strong catalyst can make a mockery of moving averages. That happens here. And you could see that this thing had a gapper. If we measure from the candle body to the high the next day of about $13 and about, let's round it up to $14. So you did have a move to the upside. So this was a win by your bull. So out of the last 4 earnings reports, the bears have dominated. They are 3-1. The last win by the bulls with the move higher. You'd have to go back to last April. You have to ask the question, will this be a repeat performance for the bulls this time around, or is it going to come lower? Again, there are things here on the charts that point to a move lower. We've got that death cross forming. We did make a new lower high. And 2, when you're zooming out here, you can see a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. And we know that 100 simple moving average on a monthly is a strong one. So let me know, what are your thoughts? Where does Boeing head after this report? Is it going to be 4 in a row for the bears, or will the bulls step back in? Earnings season is amazing, and this Boeing report will be another fun one again tomorrow at market open. Let's see how they report. If you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button. I appreciate your support here of the channel, and stay tuned for tons more earnings reports coming up this cycle. I'm so fired up, so excited. I appreciate you being here. And as always, make it a great day. Honor the moment. Most importantly, be grateful. Take care, everyone.
A flickering screens glow in the night. Charts